welcome back. I am the Irish guy, and right, Christmas season is upon us.
Hooray!
Listen, if you live with a really Christmassy person, then you're probably gonna have a bunch of festive films rammed on your throat right now, right? Going through so many Christmas films in December. Be careful, okay? Because it's only when you're on to your third week in December and you find yourself with your hands stuffed on an empty tube of Pringles, watching Vince Vaughn dance to Elvis Presley, surrounded by a bunch of clearly depressed elves. That's when you know you've gone too far. And let's be honest, there are so many pudding, rotten, horrific Christmas films that we've just been conformed by the media to believe are good. Alright then, let's do a Christmas tier list for the movies. Alright, let's go. Jack Frost. Okay, so apparently Jack Frost is a beloved Christmas movie, right? No, I'm sorry. Christmas films are supposed to be feel good. But this is like watching an actual funeral. Somehow this movie has managed to make snowmen depressing. In the first 20 minutes of the movie, you've already killed off some little boy's dad. I'm sorry, is this supposed to be Christmassy? You then reincarnate Michael Keaton into some creepy 6-foot talking snowman who spends the rest of the movie trying not to melt. I'm sorry, what happened? Michael Keaton was a leading man in Hollywood. He was Batman. And yet here he is, spending an hour voicing some CGI lump of snow, selling out for the paycheck. Is this what eventually happens to the actors of Batman? In 10 years, are we going to see Christian Bale play the real-life monkey off the box of Cocoa Pops? Is this actually supposed to be a feel-good movie? This is essentially a walking, talking corpse. Christ, it is a zombie snowman chasing after a little boy. If he wasn't made of snow, he'd be arrested by the police. And is there any explanation offered for why Christmas allows the dead to possess the snow? No reason, nothing. And then at the end of the movie, Batman just flies off back into the sky. So this is a Christmas movie where essentially the dad dies twice. There's nothing else going on here. The movie casts the actual Fred Flintstone as some weird creepy family friend who keeps eyeing up the boys if his face is made of pizza. It's just a depressing film. About as enjoyable as burning your tongue in a toaster, so no! Bottom of the pile, thanks. A Muppets Christmas Carol. Okay, I have seen this, but not since I was 6 years old. I mean, I think I liked it then, but lads, this doesn't prove anything. When I was 6, I was an idiot. I used to tell my classmates that America had been eaten by a whale. I was that one child you'd probably think spent his afternoon drinking jars of paint. I can't remember this film. Let's put it in the third tier to be safe. The Family Stone. Okay, so here we've got The Family Stone. Be warned, this is a movie which will make you feel like ironing your own face. I hadn't seen it until my girlfriend showed it to me a few days ago, and oh boy! It's essentially a movie about a family full of upper-class, snooty bullies who don't want their son to marry the horse out of Sex and the City. I mean, I've never seen an episode of that TV show. Again, I'd sooner swallow the contents of a pencil case. But yeah, she's in this film. The plot being that she's vilified for the crime of wanting to marry some man, and also, they don't like the way she coughs. A guy with all the personality of a cheeseburger, I might add. Honestly, this is supposed to be some rom-com where the two main leads wind up dumping each other on Christmas Day to run off with each other's siblings. Doesn't that just smack of family incest? Christ above, who is this movie written by? The Monsters from the Hills of Eyes? There is nothing else going on in this movie. Pretty rubbish, bottom tier. Jingle All The Way. Yes, finally, here we've got an actually decent film. Listen, I had never seen this movie until 2 years ago, largely because, I'm sorry, it's a Christmas film starring the Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger has the acting range of a stuffed teddy bear. He is Hollywood's answer to McBain. He's one of the richest actors to ever exist, and why? Because he's got biceps bigger than a couch? Because he can bench press a caravan?
Oh, I will be back!
That is the extent of this man's acting career. But Jingle All The Way is about a wet pudding of a dad who winds up running all over town to buy his son the latest Turbo Man doll. Christ above, the way the kid went on about this toy, you'd swear he was able to poop gold. No, I'm sorry, it's just another useless action man made of plastic. Why was the entire city almost on the verge of stabbing each other in the eye with a pencil to get this damn thing? I mean, were there no other toys? Christ above, it's essentially Action Man in a wetsuit. And yet these grown adults looked like they were ready to throw acid in your face if you dared to deprive them of the doll. They were all acting like Smeagol and the Ring. Anyway, what else? Somehow, in a movie about Christmas shopping, there winds up being a villain. Some comedian called Sinbad. Apparently the production company initially wanted Joe Pesci for the role, and it wouldn't have worked, because I'm sorry, hiring a 5'4" hobbit to try and intimidate a 6'2" mountain troll? I'm sorry, where's the conflict? Arnold would just eat this man in a sandwich, problem solved. Listen, this film is actually pretty funny. You've got Phil Hartman playing some weird creepy neighbor who thinks it's a clever idea to try and steal the Terminator's wife. I'm sorry, Arnie looks like he eats nothing for breakfast but protein shakes and the stomach of a mother cow. If this was real life instead of a PG film for kids, then trust me, this trained bodybuilder would very quickly turn your face into sloppy mashed potato. But it's a good film. I'm gonna put it in second tier. Home Alone. I'm gonna say something which will make you all feel like chopping off my feet with a bread knife, but look, I know Home Alone is a classic, okay? But to me, I don't know, I'd never seen it until 2 years ago. I mean, it's okay, I can appreciate why you might have loved this as a kid, but me as a grown man, I cannot relate to the character when he's about 4 years of age and can't even locate Germany on a map. So, no, I mean, it's decent, it's watchable, but no higher than the third tier. Batman Returns. So according to my girlfriend, Batman Returns is a Christmas film. Danny DeVito as a penguin, Michael Keaton as Batman. So I don't know, I guess it was good. So I guess second tier, I suppose. Krampus. Okay, Krampus is definitely one of the weirdest films I've ever watched. Apparently Krampus is the Christmas devil who punishes naughty children. Sounds very Gary Glitter. Listen, it's actually enjoyable. It's about a family who get visited by this evil Santa who tries to punish them by stealing fat children up the chimney. To be fair, you're probably just doing his parents a favor. The cast also get assassinated by some gingerbread men before everyone gets chucked into the depths of hell. Look, it's not award worthy, but it's a modern day watchable Christmas film. I'll chuck it into tier 2. It's not bad. Christmas with the Cranks. Christmas with the Cranks. Please, someone let me stick a toothbrush in my eye rather than ever watch this again. This is the story of Tim Allen, you know, the voice of Buzz Lightyear, who decides to skip Christmas by taking his wife on a cruise to Jamaica or something. I don't know, because their daughter's away. Something like that. I don't know, the plot's about as thin as a slice of cheese. But apparently, the decision to book flights and go somewhere else, that enrages their neighbors, who demand that the couple decorate their home with Christmas lights. Or else what, they'll defecate on their front porch? I don't know, I can't really remember. It was just a 90-minute film packed to the brim with annoying people. Because apparently spending your hard-earned money on a cruise, apparently that is suddenly everybody else's business. And clearly you should be then harassed by a bunch of middle-aged biddies trying to stave off the smell of menopause. Honestly, they're only going on a holiday. Their neighbors are acting like they just found out that the couple have a bunch of baby corpses in their garage. They're treating the husband the same way as if he just found out that he's on a register and that he strangles rabbits in the tub. No, he just wants to go to the airport. Is that really worth slashing his tires? I mean, I think the wife was Jamie Lee Curtis. Sadly, she didn't come with Michael Myers hiding in the closet with a knife. At least then that would have made this movie somewhat entertaining. Instead, it's just an hour and a half of me desperately wanting to shove a kettle down my throat. Bottom of the pile. Bad Santa. Bad Santa is a grisly film. I get they're trying to be edgy.
Oh, an 18th Christmas film? How raunchy. Oh, who wants to see a Santa Claus who smells like a badger's armpit and drinks vodka out of his sock?
No. Nobody. Please. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody on the planet wants to see that. Disney, or whoever made this film. It definitely wasn't Disney. Listen, I've seen this movie once and a 7th times. The 7th, meaning that I tried it a second time, and lasted about 12 minutes. Listen, it's watchable once. Billy Bob Thornton plays some guy who dresses up as Santa in a shopping mall to steal toys after dark. I mean, there's some ugly child in the film who looks like if you shook him, 7 bags of Skittles would fall out his shoes. Price above, the actor probably had an emergency Toblerone stuffed in his shoe at all times. Listen, it's okay, it's a watchable film, but it is a film that when you watch it, you can almost taste the sweat and body odor coming through the screen. Honestly, try it, you'll be surprised. It'll just be a strange taste of Billy Bob Thornton's armpit in your mouth. I'll stick this in third. Elf. Elf is one of the most popular Christmas films of all time. Does somebody want to tell me how and why? I'm sorry, if you like this film, if you truly laugh at these so-called jokes, then I can only assume you also think that the Teletubbies is a gripping adult drama. Clearly you regularly shove ice cream up your nose and just have a constant case of brain freeze, because I'm sorry, there's nothing funny about Will Ferrell spending 2 hours acting as some mentally impaired man-child who thinks that he's an elf. It's a story about some adult man who was raised by Santa's elves. Then he finds his way to New York before annoying James Caan. You know, Sonny Corleone from The Godfather? I'm sorry, but starring one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces of all time to now playing opposite Will Ferrell as he sits in a bathroom sink. I'm sorry, is that supposed to be comedy?
Oh, look at Will Ferrell. He's sitting in a sink. Oh, how wacky and nutty. You can't sit in there, Will.
I understand why children might enjoy 2 hours of Will Ferrell shouting, but adults, grown human beings who possess the ability to vote and drive a car? Christ above, Will Ferrell actually turned down $29 million to appear in a sequel in late 2013. So clearly, whenever he watches the Elf DVD, for him, it must be like watching a home video of yourself as a baby taking a dump on your granny's kitchen floor. Just embarrassing. So him stopping Elf 2 from ever happening might just be the most noble thing he's ever done in his life. In that moment, he refused to inflict more cinematic garbage upon our eyes for about 3 years before he signed up for Zoolander 2. But Elf, the director, Jon Favreau, yeah, one day he worked himself into a position where he was trusted with a mega blockbuster like The Lion King, but based on this 90-minute headache, I wouldn't have trusted this guy to write an episode of Mrs. Brown Boys, let alone anything else. Honestly, if Elf comes on my television this Christmas, I think I might actually stick a fork in my foot. The Preacher's Wife. I like Denzel Washington films. The man is a great actor. Training Day, American Gangster, Inside Man. My girlfriend absolutely loves him, but this film, The Preacher's Wife, where he plays an angel who visits some middle-aged cleric going through a middle-life crisis. Yeah, it's a nice premise if the angel didn't just blatantly use that as the excuse to try and steal the cleric's wife, who happens to be Whitney Houston for some reason, who may or may not have been violently sneezing in between takes. I'll let you work out the reason why. But this movie didn't make any sense. They essentially just wanted the biggest name on TV, because instead of hiring some old woman to play the role of Whitney Houston's mother, they just give the role to the aunt out of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because it was a popular TV show at the time. But I'm sorry, are we supposed to believe that she's her mother? Because in real life, she's only 6 years older. What is this? I might forgive all of that if it was entertaining, but no, to me, this film is about as exciting as watching an old man scratch his armpit for 2 hours. But listen, this is just my opinion, okay? My girlfriend loves this movie. And not just because Denzel Washington's in it, no, she likes it, so, I don't know, maybe you will too. Let me know, but for me, bottom tier. Love Actually. Surprisingly, a brilliant film. I mean, I was as surprised as anyone. An all-star cast featuring about 30 British actors crammed into one 2-hour comedy. Oh, the description alone sounds like my idea of hell. Just a bunch of pointless, interweaving storylines. It sounded like if Pulp Fiction was instead directed by the creator of My Little Pony. But despite the thousands of characters, it all weaves together pretty well. It's actually a charming little movie. Liam Neeson plays a grieving dad who spends the first act crying. I mean, imagine predicting then that this middle-aged human omelette, who was about as fearsome as French toast, would within 5 years turn into an action movie star. There was probably more chance of him growing a sandwich out of his nose. Bill Nighy plays a failed rock and roll singer. Hugh Grant is the Prime Minister. I mean, you'd think that would be a terrifying thought, but it's probably even preferable to the current one, who looks like he spent every night sleeping in a ditch and combing his hair with a fork. I mean, you've got Mr. Bean selling jewellery slower than it takes Oscar Pistorius to climb a flight of stairs. Colin Firth once again showing that he's got the charisma of a slice of toast. And Bilbo Baggins spends an hour struggling to converse with a human woman. And Professor Snape tries to cheat on his wife. Oh yeah, and a young woman gets stalked on her wedding day. That one hasn't really aged well. I'm sorry, is that supposed to be romantic? I wouldn't be surprised if this creep winds up chopping off her hands in the sequel, but it's actually an enjoyable watch. As far as Christmas films go, I'm putting in the top tier. The Grinch. Similar to The Elf, I know The Grinch is a popular film, but to me, sitting through this makes me feel like ripping off my own eyebrows. Anything to numb the pain. Listen, I have a love-hate relationship with Jim Carrey. I think he's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant in films like Bruce Almighty and Liar Liar, where he's wacky, but still a normal sort of wacky. And funny, and witty, and yeah, great. You know, playing characters grounded in reality. It's when he then plays the likes of Ace Ventura, the Riddler, and the Mask, essentially turning into a human cartoon, it's there where I sort of feel like vomiting out my lungs. And similarly with The Grinch, it's another walking headache. This film is my idea of a migraine. It's essentially just a hairy Shrek doing a bad Sean Connery impersonation whilst living with his dog in a cave and wanting to steal people's presents by jumping down their chimneys. I mean, we're just supposed to accept the fact that nobody in the entire city of Whoville has actually forked out to buy a goddamn house alarm. If that's the case, you deserve to have your houses broken into on Christmas Eve. I wasn't allowed to watch this film as a child because my dad refused to bring me to the cinema because to him, Jim Carrey was about as funny as a mouth ulcer. And you know what? My dad was a wise man. You know, before he went out to buy milk in late 2006. Yeah, do you want to hurry home, Dad? My Frosties are getting cold. I mean, this movie was just weird. This is a Christmas movie, right? Well, why then was it narrated by the guy who played Hannibal Lecter? Why couldn't you have got someone family friendly like Ian McKellen or Jude Law? Not someone who used to eat his sister's face. 50 million people bought movie tickets to watch this in the year 2000. 50 million! Imagine if it had flopped after spending 92 days in suffocating makeup and prosthetics. I'm guessing if this had bombed at the box office, Jim Carrey would probably have gladly jumped in front of a moving bus. But yeah, for me, no, bottom of the fat pile. The Holiday. Puke. This is actual puke. The Holiday is a 2006 romantic comedy film set around Christmas where that bint off Titanic swaps home with Shrek's wife. They are two heartbroken women who soon find other men on holiday, and that's it. That's the plot of the film. Cameron Diaz winds up with Jude Law, who is supposed to be this incredible, lovely man. Yeah, great casting, lads. Just 2 years after the whole world saw him star in Alfie, where he showed the likability of a bag of dog poo. So no matter how nice, how charming, how much of a sweetheart he appears in this film, I think in the back of the audience's head, they're still gonna think he's slimier than a snake's knob. And who else? Oh yeah, the other male romantic lead in this film is Jack Black. What? Look, he's a good, goofy, comedic actor. You know, like in School of Rock, where he plays a sweaty school teacher. Fine, but I'm sorry. The male romantic lead in Hollywood? Someone who looks like he hasn't had a shower since 1996? Someone who looks like they've just ingested 7 cheeseburgers on the toilet? Someone who looks like they smell like the inside of a couch? This is a predictable film. Again, bottom of the pile. Deck the halls. Words cannot describe how awful this film is. Imagine someone who watched Ferris Bueller in the 80s. Matthew Broderick looked like the epitome of cool. People probably assumed he's going to wind up as this cool, witty, suave movie star given the best cinematic role. You know, the modern day Robert Downey Jr., right? Well, just look at him in this film, playing some pathetic, possessive cheesecake of a dad. Just some suburban father whose nose gets put out of joint when Danny DeVito arrives in town with his vapid, vacuous family and decides to put Christmas lights on his house. Apparently this was threatening Broderick's way of life. Insecurity much? The plot is that DeVito wants to put so many lights in his house that his house can then be seen from space, with all Christmas meaning instantly stuffed in a toilet bowl for the duration of the film. Instead, it's just a vanity project for 2 men who clearly have knobs the size of Maltesers.
Oh no, he's putting too many lights in his house. Oh, my house needs to be seen by NASA.
Christ, with the entire premise, watching these 2 grown men whine about decorations like a couple of prepubescent cats, I honestly felt like drowning both in a toilet bowl. I think this bit of trivia sums it up.
According to Gillian Figman, the main actors were unhappy on set. Kristen Chenoweth was still coping with her spit from Aaron Sorkin, Danny DeVito flew in to fill with scenes rather than interact with anyone, and Matthew Broderick could be found on set shaking head in disbelief, repeatedly stating, "I've hit rock bottom." Kristen Davis told her that she should have had her eggs frozen.
Sums it up. None of the actors wanted to be there, and neither did I sitting on my couch. Bottom of the pile. It's a Wonderful Life. Best Christmas movie of all time. Forget Christmas movie, it's one of the best films of all time. Listen, I had never seen this until I was shown it by my girlfriend 2 years ago. I was skeptical because it was made in 1946. Why would I want to watch a movie in black and white? How can I relate to a movie when all the actors are now cremated and living in an urn of their grandson's mental peace? How can I relate to a film when it looks like a walking newspaper? In a Christmas movie, you should have color, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. But this works. Make no mistake about it, this is an incredible film. No movie does a better job at creating a Christmas atmosphere than this. James Stewart is fantastic. It's actually a funny film, sometimes unintentionally, but honestly, the best Christmas movie of all time, bar none. It's almost an insult to include this in the same tier list as Lights of Elf and Christmas with the Cranks. But honestly, amazing film, top tier, brilliant. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think, alright? Let me know, what are your favorite and worst Christmas movies? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.